On this episode of Carnage, the Ute is back from MotorX, so it's time to hook in and get this thing done. So we made it to MotorX and the car was on the VPW stand and it was really well received. A lot of people come up and said how good the car looked. In fact, a lot of people said the car looks much better in person than it does on the videos because they all thought that, you know, we keep telling everyone it's a bit of a roughie, but the car actually presents really well. You know, remember we paid $4,000 for this thing as a running, driving V6 Commodore. Well, it looks better than a $4,000 car, and especially now that it has a 427 under the bonnet with twin turbos, these Street Pro wheels which look amazing, and obviously we've lowered it and it has an amazing stance. You know, we've got the great Pro Force seats in it and everything like that. So the car is looking really good. But as anyone knows who's built a car, that car builds are not about engines and gearboxes and differentials and wheels. That's what everyone thinks. Everyone who hasn't built a car thinks it's all about engines and gearbox and wheels and stuff. No, building a car is about wiring and plumbing and all the fiddly little stuff, because that is the hard stuff. And that's the stuff we've got to do. We've done a lot of it, we've done most of it, but we have the last little bits to do to finish the car off so we can make it run, make it drive, and hopefully you'll see that, or at least running, on this episode. Of course, you know, we were trying to get this car ready for MotorX. We got it ready in this format for MotorX. And of course, as soon as we got it all together, ready, cleaned, the carpet arrived, didn't it? So that's going to be my first job, is pulling the seats back out of the car, putting the carpet in the car, making it look all nice inside. And then we can get up on the hoist and we can finish off the little bits of plumbing and wiring that need to be done. Let's get this party started. Oh, that's a hell of a wheel chock. Get this seat in. There we go. Whoa, over the car. Some good looking seats. Kind of sucks having to do this twice, but you know, it is what it is. Like I said before, the carpet showed up late on Thursday and we already had the whole thing assembled by then. But the new carpet should look awesome in this. So it's a bit darker grey, and I think it'll be a nice fit with the black seats and the grey dash. So, that out of there, that off there. All right, let's have a look. It's not too bad. Yeah, so I decided to go with like a darker charcoal carpet. So not such a big difference between the black seats and the grey interior. So, but yeah, I think that will look pretty good in there. Kind of thought we might get some underlay with it too for $500, but apparently not. Okay, so I've made an executive decision. I've ordered some underlay and I've ordered some extra carpet in the same colour to go up the back wall of the cab. So it should be here in a day or two. So I will put this back in the bag, and we've got plenty to do. So I'll get the floor plate in for the shifter, mount that permanently, and yeah, like I said, plenty to do. So let's hook into the wiring and plumbing and all the other stuff, but we'll put this away so it doesn't get damaged in the meantime. Just like I bought one. Well, we've got our shifter plate in there and the carpet will go straight over top of that, and then the shifter will bolt down on top of that. But while we're waiting for our underlay and our extra carpet, I guess we should just hook into doing some of the extra wiring and plumbing that needs to be done. So let's get it back up on the hoist. Right, so there's some stuff here that's super necessary and some stuff that's not so necessary right now, like line pressure. I don't even have the sensor or fittings for that yet. Same with trans dump, I don't have any of that stuff, so I'll just set it up as a running and driving car. That's kind of race car stuff. Converter pressure is another one I don't need. I will have the wiring there for it, but won't have it all installed. I want it running and driving first, and when we can do race car stuff later. Yeah, so I've got to hook in some stuff like wire up our fuel pumps, which I still haven't done. Wiring our trans temp is pretty much done. Certainly the sensors in there and the wiring's there, just need to connect the two up. Scavenge pump I need to do all the plumbing for and then the wiring of. So yeah, there's not a lot there to do to make this thing run. Start wire to the ECU, stuff like that. So yeah, it's not that big a list. Actually, I do have a list. I need to recondense that. Where were those lists? Okay, so in the lead up to MotorX, I made up a couple lists. And a lot of the stuff is checked off, but I also got to that point where I knew some stuff wasn't going to be needed because it's just going to MotorX as a non-running car. So some of this stuff kind of got marked off as unnecessary. But I did get a lot of stuff done as well. So, you know, stuff like adding trans fluid. There's no point adding trans fluid, especially without a tail shaft in it, especially when it's going up on tilt trays and things like that, because all the trans fluid runs out the back of the trans and makes a big mess. Same with power steering fluid, stuff like that. Stuff that's easy to do, but could potentially make a mess moving the car around in a show. So I left that stuff off. Got to make rear brake lines, wiring up those fuel pumps, some overflows. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll recondense this list onto one list, so that way we don't have as much to do. Well, we have the same amount, but it'll look like less. It looks so good. So we've condensed our list down to one sheet. So today it's going to be all about running cables and wiring and stuff while I wait for some hydraulic fittings to show up. So yeah, We're going to run a cable from the battery to the starter, then run another cable from that starter lug across the alternator. Also going to run another cable to the fuse panel to the battery. That'll be a lighter gauge cable. So like the Lexan, we're going to integrate the factory wiring with the wiring that we need to run this deal. So yeah, you know, thankfully the Lexan I have, you know, discovered which wires, you know, which is the starter activation wire, which is the wire that needs to run this and that. So this is a very similar deal. They're not exactly the same, but they're pretty similar. So I'm going to get to cutting and crimping, and hopefully by the end of the day I'll be able to hit the key and we'll hear the starter actually do something. It won't fire today because A, it ain't got fuel in it, and B, I've still got to power up the pumps and everything. But yes, let's do this. Hassan, chop. Chop. So for this one we're using 35mm square cable. Should be fine. We're using the same sort of stuff in the Lexan, and the Lexan's battery is right up the back, and as long as everything's not running at the same time, it starts fine. So just take it easy when you're using a Stanley knife. They're handy, but also dangerous. So always think about where the blade's going to go if you slip. So try and cut away from yourself. Yeah, I've made that mistake in the past. So it's never pretty. So I think the easiest way of getting this cable on is to actually unbolt the starter motor. The big cables go on this one, and a little cable on that one, or a little wire. I needed some heavy duty wires, so I took a length out of this twin core 38 amp stuff. I'll save that for a rainy day. I'm sure it'll be raining soon. So before we put any power to this thing, it's very important to earth your engine, earth your chassis. So I'm going to use this cable to earth the engine block to the chassis. Actually, it probably doesn't need to be that long, but yeah, might cut that off and re-terminate it a bit shorter. But yeah, so we've got to run an earth from the block to the chassis, and then obviously the battery to the chassis as well. Yeah, and then we should be able to put some power to it, and smoke shouldn't come out of anything. I reckon if we go him on the block and him right there, and that should be a happy marriage. Hassan, chop! Look, I might have enough for the other end as well. Okay, time for a battery. Oh. Well, nothing smoking yet. Well, we've got something because the little security LED is powered up and flashing. So, I'm going to switch to on, see if we get a pump buzz. Oh, there's wipers. Give me that. Okay. So we might get pumps at this stage. Oh, okay. We have lights on the dash. Dash is powered up, and we just heard the drive-by-wire do its little funky dance. All right, so starter. All right, we got a click. Ah, I'm an idiot. I know why it's clicking and not doing anything. Not you. Where are you? Where are you? There you are. I ran the wire, but I didn't connect it to the starter. It's connected to the starter, but it's not connected to the key. But there we go, progress. We've had some clicks. I shall whack a connector on that. We'll plug her on, and I reckon it will turn over. It has oil in it at the moment, has no water. There's no transmission, has some fluid, but not much. But yeah, we're just gonna simply hit the starter and see what it does. This is just a short-term connection, just to prove that we're on the right path. Which is that wire. I've just realised why the fuel pump is not buzzing at the moment, because it requires the factory ECU to tell it to turn on when you turn the key on. Turn the key on, obviously there's no factory ECU in it, so I actually have to do what I did with the Lexan, which is hook it to our ECU. My bad. But everything's powered up at the moment. Let's see if the starter does starter things. That's as far as I'm going. I'm not like trying to start it at the moment. There's no power to coils or anything at the moment because I've set it up to look like they're connected, but they're not actually connected. They're just plugged into heat shrink. That's the way we did it at MotorX, just to make it look like it was a connected thing. But yeah, hey, we're on the right path. So that's a few things ticked off the old list, and we can move forward to the other stuff. But that's some big goals kicked today. All right, I think it's time to head home. We'll see you in the morning. So, after a nice meal and a few hours sleep, I'm back into it, and I've already been doing some wiring under here. So we've got our transcooler fan up the back here. It's already lines run, and then the wiring, I have put a Deutsch connector there and then run the wire up under the car. So that'll go to our R5. And then I've done obviously the wiring up the front here. Bring some light. We've done the same thing up here, another Deutsch connector on our scavenge pump, and connected up some of our other wiring like our crank trigger and stuff like that. We've also had a delivery from ProFlow, so some fittings have arrived, and so now I can do our lines for our scavenge pump. So it's going to be asymmetrical, unfortunately, but there's just nowhere to mount a scavenge pump there, so I've mounted it off basically the sway bar bolt holes, because we're not running a front sway bar. So I've made up a bracket using MPW's plasma table once again, designed it up in CAD, folded it up, works perfectly. So we're just going to make up a line from there to there and a line from there to there. They will come together, and the scavenge pump will draw the oil and then pump it up into the engine. So let's make some lines. Well, that's done. Isn't it funny how a half an hour job takes an hour and a half? But anyway, it's done now. So, what else is done? Oh, our carpet showed up and our underlay. Let's have a look at that, and we'll drop it down and throw it in. Here we are. We have some extra carpet and some underlay. Underlay. I tried to explain Speedy Gonzales to my son Alex the other day. I don't think he quite got it, but they certainly couldn't get away with that stuff today. Not the way things are these days. But anyway, we'll lay some of that down and we'll get our carpet in. Okay, so we're going to go with underlay through these sections, so right through here, and then the same on the driver's side, but I don't think it needs more than that. And then we've bought some what they call off the roll carpet, some extra carpet to go up the back wall here. So I reckon I'll just go up to kind of here and I'll use the factory stuff there, but just to make it all look nice and neat. Well, it sort of fits. I mean, you see where the seat riser is there. You're gonna have to do some trimming here around the handbrake. Around the cage, of course, is gonna always cause some dramas. The tunnel seems a lot bigger than it should be, but anyway, we'll sort that out. Do some trimming, and then we'll get our carpet up the back here. Maybe even put some more sound deadening in there. But yeah, it is all coming together. So I reckon when you lay this stuff in, you've got to kind of let it sit in and settle for a few hours, if not overnight. So we will do that. But Matt's not in tomorrow, and yeah, we're coming up on the weekend. So basically, I'll keep banging away at this thing. And next week, it will be much more complete. And you will see it on a future episode of Carnage. Oi, don't leave yet. The plan for this video was that we were going to make the ute run. However, it kind of ballooned out and it ended up being like an hour long, and no one wants to watch an hour long episode of Carnage. Well, some of you might, but not enough. So we've split it into two parts. This was part A, and part B we're going to drop on Monday. So check back with us on Monday and you'll see a very special episode of Carnage where the ute runs. I guarantee it.